Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Andrea Little Mason, also known as Dr. Doula, and I am here with another Birth Her Story conversation. And Tayo, I should have asked, okay, Tayo Mbande. Mbande.
Mbande.
I got it, Mbande.
If you have an African tongue, you're gonna say it the right way.
Really? Okay, good. Because I was like, why did I push record without asking her how to say her last
name? Because you knew you were gonna say it right.
Is that, see?
You said it right.
That's why we here, sis. Okay, so I am this Tayo is amazing. I love her because she's young. The thing I love, the thing I love about the Black women in birth work that are coming through right now is that y'all ain't scared of nothing, Tayo. And y'all just say, oh wait, we don't have that. Okay, let me start that. Other people are like, oh well, what are your qualifications for this? And what are you whatever? Y'all are like, listen,
I'm here.
I don't see this. Let me do it. And this is one of the things that Tayo has done. We'll be talking about her birth story and we'll be talking about all the other things that she does. But first, I'm going to allow Tayo to introduce herself to you. Tayo, tell these people who you are, beautiful.
Listen, I got to tell you, Mama Andrea, most people, not only did you pronounce my last name correctly, most people call me Tayo.
Are you serious?
On the regular. And I get it because it definitely looks like that. But when Black people
you're winning.
Right. When they get my name right, I'm like, we have the same spirit.
Yes.
You know the sound of that A in my name. Y'all know. So I'm Tayo Oyafemi Mbande. I am a mama of 3 human beings. My husband, Aremu Mbande, is my other, he's like my 4th child that I love so much. It's really like I imagine that's what it's going to be like raising my son as a teenager. So like my husband being married to him is like having a teenage. He's
playful, isn't he?
He is. He really is. But he's like my good brother. Who's a teenager.
A good brother.
He's like my good brother. And sometimes he's like a husband. And then he's like their dad. It's really funny. That should not be included in my introduction though.
But let me say this. I understand exactly what you're saying. And my husband is very playful as well. And when I have 4 sons, so when they all get together, it's just like, but eventually I did get the story like, listen, he was like, don't tell people like I think I used to say there are 5 of them in the house or something. And he was like, okay, listen.
I'm not your child.
Look, wait. At this point, he was like 40-something, 35. He was like, I'm a grown man. I'm like, that's right. That's right, babe. That's right.
You know, a little bit. Whenever my husband has to say those words to me, I'm a grown man. I'm like, ooh, hold on. What are we talking about here? But he's a big part of who I am and what I do. So I'll make sure to shout him out. I am from Long Beach, California. And sometimes I get a little bit like telling people that because they're like, let me make sure I turn that off. I get a little bit anxious about telling people that because of ideas that we have, like of California folk, right?
Yeah.
I'm very proud to be from Long Beach. I love my city so much. But I've been living in Chicago for 4 years. My family's from Chicago. My mother was born and raised here, and we lived here when I was younger. And so, you know, I feel like, am I even qualified to be living in Chicago? Should I be telling people that? So it's just really my own insecurities. But I am a proud California girl, Long Beach, born and raised. I went to school in D.C. where I met my husband. We both went to Howard. Go figure. What else? People would like shame me to death if I didn't mention that I was Miss Howard University when I went to Howard.
You were Miss Howard?
I've gone through I've gone through so many like spaces and places, and I'm like, yeah, I went to Howard and this and that because it's something I did at Howard. I am not putting down on all my job applications like also Miss Howard University. Like, so someone somewhere is going to watch this and be like, did she even just just skip over the fact that I gotta like show love to all my sisters out there.
Yes.
We be everywhere.
And
Actually,
HBCU period, honey. I
yeah,
love it.
it's serious. So one of my a former Miss Howard, she was maybe, let's see, Brittany was maybe like 4 or 5 years before me. She was an obstetrician, and I got pregnant with my daughter my senior year in college. And I was like, Miss Howard is about to be providing prenatal care to Miss Howard. We were like geek. It was crazy. It was so crazy. So I love being able to connect with all of them everywhere. What else about me? I started Chicago Birthworks Collective with my mama in 2018. So literally just last year. There's some babies in the game.
And say that and say that again. What did you start?
Chicago Birthworks Collective.
Nice.
Is the name of the organization my mother and I started together. I had just given birth to my second baby, and I got fired. And I was like, ooh, I never want this to happen to me ever again. Ever again. It was like one of the worst experiences I ever went through, because I worked in an organization that was had an almost all Black female directorial staff. Wow. And I was hired by a Black woman. And the way that I felt having these conversations with her, I was like, you know what? Black women need a lot more care themselves so they can care for other Black women. Because that's not what was happening there. So I was just hurt. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she spoke to me this way. I can't believe that all of the circumstances of this termination happened this way. And I knew, like, I'm about to start this whole thing. I done been fired. I got this brand new baby. We had just bought our house. So I was like, yeah, I got to make a move. But it was the most perfect thing that could have happened. So my mother and I, we became doulas together. We trained with Mama Shafia. It was so fun. It was like the corniest thing that you could think of. I was like, this is my mom. She was my doula. Which she really was. And her and I had been kind of like throwing around all these ideas around how we could make sure. My mother is like the community mom.
Beautiful.
Always. And her mama was the community mom. So I would always joke that I wanted to like pimp my mom out, because I was like, the way that you were to me in both of my pregnancies and both of my births, every Black woman deserves that. But every Black woman may not have that mother person pregnant, present, not pregnant. Dang, I was like, that sentence did not, when I played it back in my head, that didn't make a lot of sense. They may not have that mother person that is present in their lives or able and confident enough to play that role. So I was like, Mom, you could just go to their birth. You could just go. You're wonderful. And so we started talking about like how we could flesh that out, what that would look like. And we kind of came up with this idea of Chicago Birthworks Collective being a group of Black women who care for other Black women at different stages and phases of their lives. So we trained with Mama Shafia together. It was excellent. We came back and we literally we actually started running before we went to our training. I'm not going to say we hit the ground running. Like we were like, yes, this is it. This is our branding. This is our website. Here's our logo. This is our mission statement. And we went to our training and Mama Shafia was like, that's nice. I was like, she's going to be so impressed. She was not too moved. But now she's very proud. So we were just so excited. We were so green. Like, we're going to do all this stuff in Chicago. And we were able to accomplish a lot in that first year. But I learned so much about the work they were doing. And I had to sit my little green behind down a few times. I was like, we're going to knock them out. Stop the injustices happening in the hospitals across Chicagoland.
Did you now? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just like that. Like, I would go into like all of my births like this, like, and the moms are like, could you stop that? And the nurses are like, do you need some help? Can I help you with something? So I was like, I gotta calm down a little bit. But once I did, I realized like we're doing a different kind of work. It's not about fighting people in hospitals. And it kind of all came like a wave. And that's what has shaped what we've been doing with Chicago Birthworks Collective. Other stuff that people should know about me. I have tons of siblings.
Tons.
I have a set of twin sisters.
You have what?
A set of twin sisters.
Wow.
They're older than me, and 7 brothers. And I have 1 little baby sister. Wow. My mama and my daddy did not have all those kids together.
Okay.
But they were like such a special duo, the 2 of them together. It's so interesting. My mom and my dad only had me together. And I'm like, yeah, like I really believe that they could only make this. That's it. Like all of the other sisters that I have, they're wonderful, they're excellent. But when the 2 of them came together, it was incredible. So my dad passed away in December of last year. And since he has passed away, we're coming up on, it's about to be a year, which is crazy to me. I have just looked at my mother and I'm like, you are incredible. Because I love my daddy so much. I love my dad. He is, we always try to like qualify when we make these like general statements, like one of the best. No, my dad is probably the best human I have ever known in my life. Yeah. And when I think about him and I look at my mom, I love my mom so much more. I'm like, you picked a great human to reproduce with. Like, thank you for choosing him. I mean, I know I chose them, but still, like, they're incredible. So, what was I mentioning them for? Just because I love them?
Yes, and I love that. I love that part of it because I was like, tell me, what did your mom do for you that you felt like everybody should experience?
In my life or?
Well, first of all, when you were talking about birth and talking about pimping your mom out.
My mom so this is not something that I've seen in any other birth worker. The way that my mother is in her daily life, she was not that way. Is someone knocking at my door? Yes? Okay, well, ask Poppy. I did tell my husband, like, okay, I'm going to be downstairs in the office. Okay, I'm going downstairs now. Okay, I'm leaving. This guy still managed to make his way.
Somebody slipped away.
I remember that I noted when I became pregnant, my mother made this like huge, it wasn't a shift because it wasn't that she turned into someone that she wasn't, but it's almost like she turned inside out. So all of the ways that she was in the world every day, my mother is very straightforward. She's very strong. She's very she's movement. Like, let's get this done. We're moving in this direction. She raised 3 girls and a boy by herself. Not by herself. She had a village, but with no partner, right? And so she was that way. I always joke that my mom was my mom and my dad. Like, she was more like my dad. My dad was like my uncle. She just was like, come on, we got to get this done. Keep moving. But when I became pregnant, I was like, I have never seen this part of you.
Wow.
I felt it and I sensed that it was there, but it didn't feel foreign. It didn't feel like, oh, who are you? It felt like, oh, look at that other side of my mom. And so when I was pregnant, I was able to experience both of those sides. I mean, it was like the most beautiful type of duality you could ever experience, where she would be that way with everyone else. But what she did for me that was incredible was she, just like a breastfeeding relationship, she saw what I needed and she made that. So she could sense, she had this like sixth sense of, this is how Tayo needs to be spoken to. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to become whatever she needs. Like, she just morphed into it. So throughout both of my pregnancies, she said the right things. She did all the right things. And it was very just symbiotic. Like, I'm sure our bodies were like, I don't know, maybe my umbilical cord was talking to her womb and was talking to her brain. It was just perfect. It was perfect. She was exactly the person I needed. I remember my first labor, I was green. I was like, I got this. And y'all could just sit here and watch because I'm about to handle all of this unmedicated with this face. I was like, I'm fine. Until I was induced. So once everything started, which was like really, I can't, Mom, I can't do it. And so at one point she washed my locks. My mom is the only person who's ever done my locks. And she has locks also. She washed my locks. She braided them up into this beautiful bun. She put this pretty ribbon in it. And it happened all throughout my labor. And I was like, man, every woman deserves to have her hair done in labor. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And of course, I have these very maternal and dear, beautiful connections to my mother doing my hair. But to have her in that space, I didn't say, Mom, now it's time to wash my hair. She said, okay, you sit on this ball. I was sitting on the ball against the tub, and she just leaned me over the tub, having 1,000 contractions. She washed it. She massaged my head. So I'm like, man, how did she know that I needed that? And I've seen her work with other moms. So it's funny because when she works with moms, they become like my sisters.
Yes.
I'm like, welcome to the family, girl. Because she does the same things. She just sees them. She has this like decoder box in her head, and she does. And I think for a young, in terms of age doula like myself, because my mom and I were trained as doulas at the same time, but of course she's been doing this work much longer than me. For a younger doula like myself, I often get caught up in my head, of trying to go through the list. Did I get the cold towel? And am I using the lavender oil? Okay, and now for the hot tea, let me get the back roller, And my mom was not that way. So I had to take a big seat and realize with my mom, she didn't just make this stuff up. This is where she came from. It is 100% where she came from. The reason that she knows how to comfort her daughter and also other women when they're reproducing, this is in her. It was before she trained with anybody. It was all in her. So I'm like, every woman that I ever meet, I want them to experience that. It may not be from my mother.
Yeah, but that.
To experience that feeling of this person knows me and they are willing to go to the ends of the earth to keep me comfortable and keep me calm. And at my last birth, she was incredible.
Wow. Let me blow my nose. I don't know why I've been trying to hold back sneezes. I'm like, what's going on?
Let that go. Let that go. We don't have to hold on to that.
I'm like, what am I breathing in? I don't know what I'm breathing in over here, but I love that. I love the fact that I love that. What I love about what you said most was that you talked about this side of your mom you had not seen. And a lot of times, I'm a big proponent, and I know different people feel differently about I've heard people that advertised and said, your mother can't do this for you. You need a doula because this can't do that for you. And that just doesn't align with my historical context. It doesn't align with but I get it. Those that if that's what they're promoting and that's what they're doing, I mean, as far as a business plan and how you write it, that's what you say. Nobody can do it like
exactly. But we're always trying to fit like a very traditional or African practice into a space that is not that at all.
Exactly.
So of course, because where we are now, most of our mothers have so much healing to do. So they wouldn't be the ones. No. But she should be the one. She may not be in this moment, in this phase, because of what's happened to her, what's happened to her mother and the women in her family. But she should be the one. And I'm just thankful that my mother could be the one.
Exactly.
Because I knew that she should. I
tell people all the time, one of the impetus for the work that I do was because my mother, she transitioned 3 months before I got married and a year before I had my first child. But what she told me, she always said to me, Annie, don't worry. When you have your babies, I'll help you. I'll tell you exactly what you need to know. I'll tell you what to do. Right? And she said it just that nonchalantly. Is one of the few things I recall in her voice. I hear it in her voice. And so for her not to physically be there, it just there was nothing in me whenever I hear people say moms and grandmothers and aunts. I'm like, wait a minute, those are the people that helped my grandmother. When I talk to my family, that's who was helping them.
Yes.
Their mother was helping them, their aunt, their sisters, whoever was there, because I'm a Southern girl and I'm the first generation born in a hospital. And so it's one of those things where I look and I say, that's not true. And so when I hear you say, here's my mom had been this other person, and I never thought that she would be this. Like,
Yeah.
here I see this duality, I see all this complexity. For me, what that says is, I hope that other women can look at that and understand, and as opposed to what many people say, it's, yeah, my mom would never be this, my mom would never be that. The word you said is so true. Healing. There's some of us as Black women who need to heal more, but I always, and I love that you said it, I always look and I say, the context and the notion that mothers can't help their daughters in birth because mothers that just I don't know how to take it, because it's not.
You don't take it. You can't, because it's not said with you in mind. We often get very confused that Black folks and white folks are birthing the same. My mom always says, like, a white vagina is a Black vagina, but the wombs have different histories.
Good. Wait a minute. You can't run past that.
No.
Wow.
The anatomy is the same, but the wombs are different histories. So we really get mixed up when we hear things about birth work and we think, oh, that applies to us. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Maybe your mom can be at your birth and shouldn't be at your birth, but my mama was meant to be at my birth. I have to remind people constantly, doula work for Black women does not look like doula work for non-Black women. It doesn't. And doula work for women of color don't look like doula work for nobody else at all. So these ideas that you're trying to like interpret, you ain't even got to spend your energy doing that, because it's not meant for you.
I love you. See, this is why I like you, because you're a little spitfire there. You just kind of.
Isn't that so? I'm like, how arrogant of me to
I've sat here for years and years. I'm like, I wonder why they say that. What do they mean? You're like, you ain't got to pay attention to that. Don't listen to that.
I sit there sometimes. I'm like, oh, nice. That wasn't for me. So let that fly right past me.
And what's amazing is, one of the things that I do an Africa to the Diaspora project, where I've been going to and speaking with women that are continental born and still connected to their ancestry and their birth practices, and asking them the same questions. Just asking the same questions. And it's amazing, because from north, south, east, and west, there are certain things that African women are still doing right now. And one of those things is going to their mother to teach them how to prepare for birth, have their baby, whatever. That is African. That is part of our ancestry, and not our ancestry way back.
Yes.
Thousands of years, maybe we can find a relic. No, it's a part of that. And then being a girl from with family from the South, and being a Southern girl myself, I know what my family did. First generation born in the hospital. So what was happening with my mother birth in the South when they were not included in hospitals, not invited, not allowed, not all of that?
It don't take much for you to put the numbers together. It's very apparent. It's there. They had their babies at home. Would they do it by themselves with some people that they hire from down the street? No. You called your mama. Somebody went down the road to get her. Or maybe, shoot, y'all lived in the same house. So you knocked on her door and said, Mom.
Exactly.
Mom. Or she probably came in there because she knew that she was about to have your baby already.
I would ask my Aunt Hattie, I was like, well, who helped? They're living on dirt roads. It just got paved in the past, like 15, 20 years. So when I went to my grandmother's house, it was dirt roads. This was houses that the men in the community were still building out in very rural areas. And when I talked to them, she was like, oh, your grandmother helped me. My mom helped me. So I love that you said, you've told me before that you and your mom trained, but I never pieced it together. I don't know why. But I love that. I love what you shared about your mom, because one of the things, there was a Chicago birth doula, Black Doula Alliance had a thing. We were talking, and I was saying, and I say this because I love what you're sharing. I was encouraging people. I said, don't forget that, yeah, we might be here right now talking about pay me for my services, you know, this, that, and the other. But Tayo, how many daughters do you have? Are you gonna, okay, so you're a doula, a birth worker, whatever you want to call yourself, because
Right.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are. I ask Black women all the time, so what is the game plan? What's the game plan here? Because doula has been an actual profession for a little less than 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But here you have another generation and the people are still asking for a doula. If we're talking about, as Black women, saving ourselves, reclaiming what was lost and stolen and forgotten and abandoned and surrendered, then the question for me is, okay, so you're going to learn about this birth and then you're going to call somebody from outside to take care of your daughter? Or are you going to help your own daughter?
Look at us. Look at us. We both like,
But how, and I think it's important to say that your mom knew some things from life, but she learned and she helped you and she helps others, because you talked about our womb having different histories. That's important to understand.
It's the starting place, because we've started most of our conversations about birth where white women are.
Centered around white women.
Hold on. Wait a second. Back up. They right here, and you want to hop in right here and say, begin, start. That don't add up, y'all. That doesn't add up. So I'm like every day reminded, so many things don't make sense because y'all's framework is not the right shape.
It's not the right shape to fit. It doesn't fit us.
Mm-hmm.
The framework doesn't fit us. If I can look 60 years in the past and I can look and I see that we weren't dying like we were. We weren't a part of your facilities. We weren't a part of majority culture, but we weren't dying like we are now.
Mm-hmm.
And our babies weren't, and all these things are increasing. How is it increasing? But we're now supposed to be fully assimilated into a better, more civilized culture. Something is wrong with that.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I believe that it is what you're talking about. It is the reconnection to mothers, daughters, things like that.
It really, I had a moment the other day looking at all of my children's umbilical cords. So I was like, that used to be in me, and this used to be in my mom. So then I had this like crazy visualization of all of us connected with all these umbilical cords, and it was pretty weird, but it was very powerful to me. It was so powerful. So I often, maybe twice a day, talk to my daughter, not by choice because she brings it up, about her coming out of my vagina. She brings it up all the time. We could be in the store and she's like, was that when I came out of your vagina? I'm like, that box of crackers? What are you talking about? No. She's like, oh, okay. Well, Gigi, you came out of her vagina, right? That's my mom. I'm like, yes, I did. Okay. And Uncle Max, that's my brother. He came out of her vagina too? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we have conversations about how big we were when we were inside the bellies and then came out of the vagina. And so that's what like prompts me to always think about, like, man, she gets it. I came from that 100%. When she sees Gigi and all the wonderful feelings that she has about Gigi, how much she loves her, how excited she is, she knows that I came out of that. So I feel so grateful to be kind of re-knitting just on my end.
Yes.
And reinforcing they're there. I'm thankful that ours were not completely severed. My grandmother, she passed away when I was 4, and my mother was very young. And my aunt was in town, and she just asked me, do you remember? I'm like, man, I remember that woman. She passed away over 20 years ago, like it was yesterday. I remember everything about her. So I'm so thankful to have her spirit, but just her knowledge and her wisdom that is on me and in me and moving all around me. Outside of my grandmother having transitioned, I lived with all of my grandmothers. My great-grandmother attended my first birth.
Wow.
So these connections exist. We on this end are just responsible for tending to those connections. They're there, And if yours haven't been severed, I hope that I encourage people to like tend to them, keep them, because they can break. They can. And once that person is transitioned, you will have left what they have left you. And we know because life is cyclical, they don't just disappear and they're gone forever. But there are some tangible things that we utilize in this realm that we are dependent on. Everybody does not have, because of where we live and how we navigate this realm right here, we just trying to master this. We don't have skills for up here yet to be like, ancestors, reveal this. Now, you're going to be sitting in that room quiet with your own thoughts for a while. So because we live primarily in this realm here, you have to deal with your elders in that realm while they're in this realm. Because once they transition to another realm, it's going to be a lot more work for you trying to get things from them, you know? So I feel like the work that I'm doing now with my mom is really just one big ritual of tending to these connections that we have and saying like, okay, I'm going to take care of my little umbilical cord. It isn't dried out, but it's still attached. And if you ever witnessed the lotus birth, that cord will get nice and hard.
Yes.
But it's not going to just snap.
No.
It's going to get all dried up, and that's what we're dealing with, where you still have to tend to those connections. If this, I witnessed only one lotus birth, and I was like, oh my God, is it done? You gotta put more stuff. And the thing that I remember, the reason why I said I was never gonna do a lotus birth.
Wait. Tell them what it is. Make sure they know, that the audience knows what.
A lotus birth is a birth that maintains the infant and the placenta until they decide to detach from each other.
On their own.
On their own, yes. And I remember just looking like, that's a lot of work. But that's exactly it. It's a lot of work to maintain and tend to that relationship between you and your mothership. You and your mama, and then all her mamas. But you deserve it. And my sister who did, not my birth sister, my doula sister who did the lotus birth with her baby, that baby is just, they are so connected. They are so connected. Seriously. I see so much just glow from this woman because she knows that her baby and her are like right there. She needed that. She's so healed and so full and vibrant and happy because of the connection that she has with her baby. And I can't even imagine what that baby is going to grow up and feel and how she's going to move in the world knowing her and her mama are in sync for real. So
because it does take a different type of effort to, you know, you're not just picking up the baby going whatever.
You got that big old bowl.
And some people say that's like
from it.
Yeah.
That is all one ginormous metaphor. Like there are things that can come. They like, ooh, that look like it's going bad a little bit. Let me attack that. So like I think back to when I was like in high school, my mom and I was like, she hates me and I'm about to leave for college, so I don't have to deal with her anymore. Like, whoo. But really, those were those little gnats that were coming in like, this looks a little bit sour. Let me come and destroy the rest of this, you know? And I'm so thankful that we made it out of that and our relationship was not completely destroyed. But being away a little bit made me miss her, made me love her, but she supported me from afar and we came back together, nurtured these relationships, and it was through me having a child that our relationship was able to turn into something brand new. So I'm the only one of my mother's children who's reproduced. So we have our very special bond. It's just us. So I'll be telling my other siblings like, back up. When you have some kids, then you can deal with her. I give priority. They'll call her. She won't answer because she's with me, tending to me and my children. And then they'll call me like, let me talk to mom. Sorry, we're unavailable right now. We are busy.
I love
it. If you have some kids, then I'll lend her to you. But for right now, she is mine. But I know that's what fulfills my mother because she is aware of what she has to offer and the work that she's supposed to do in this time, in this place, which is tend to her children, tend to her grandchildren. My mama is not barefoot and pregnant lady. She is not that. She is a working woman who is always, always, always working. But this is what I mean when I say I was shocked at her duality, how much she puts into caring for me as her daughter, like she cares for me like a baby, y'all. Not that she babies me, but she cares for me like her child. Is your hair done? Do you need me to come and do your hair? When was the last time that you washed your hair? I'm coming over to do your hair. Did y'all make dinner yet? Okay. So while you're making dinner, I'm gonna go and do such and such. I'm like, come on, mom, come eat dinner with us. She's like, no, you feed your kids and you eat, and then I'll talk about it. I'm like, what? You don't come up to my house to eat this food, but she gets it. Like all the way, I used to get so frustrated when she wouldn't eat my dinner. But all of the work that I do, and she always says, like, I cannot see you standing up at that stove, eat your food, and then just move on with my life. Like, you need to honor yourself and your children. I'm gonna be okay. So I see her practicing that on the regular, where she will, any day that she's off, she come over here and sit in my house, take care of my kids, take care of me. She'll cuddle with me on the couch, just do all the things that you want your mama to do, you know? So I'm so thankful for it. And the more that she gives to me, the more I know that I should receive from her. I think at some point we're like, no, I'm grown, my mama's grown, I shouldn't be asking her. I don't believe that. I'm like, as long as she's in this realm, I'm going to receive from her because I'm always going to be mothered by her. Always. And I always desire to be mothered by my mother. So I will ask my mama for anything. I'm like, it's 2 a.m. Could you get up in a few hours and come over here, please? But I feel like that is my right to ask my mother for the things that I need, right? And with my mother not having her mother in this realm, she gives because she understands if her mother was there, she would have asked for the same things. And so the healing that my mother is going through, I won't have to go through that healing period.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be wounded or without. And I can do that for my daughters, who could do that for her daughters, who in turn can do that for lots of other women. So because my mother tends to me and cares for me, I can care for lots of women and I can give to them because she gives to me in ways and in realms that I can't even like verbalize, you know?
I can't even tell you just how much I appreciate that. I have a friend who's almost 60 and she was estranged from her mother for years, and honestly she had there were a lot of things that had happened between them in their past and abuses and things that had been dealt with in certain ways. And even in that, there came a point where, even though that was half a century ago, and she swore she would never, ever, ever forgive anything that had ever happened, she found herself embracing her mother. She found herself wanting and calling her mother.
Yeah.
And then there's I saw a post somewhere where there was a woman who had just had no battery. Hold on. It's supposed to be plugged. Okay, wait. Hold on.
I ain't going nowhere.
Okay, let's see if we can make this right because, okay, there we go. All right.
We got it? Okay.
I thought it was plugged in, girl. My life was about to say no.
So we would have put the charger back in and done this over.
Okay. But I saw
You're talking about your friend.
Yes.
Yeah, in the post you saw, yes.
And so the post that I saw, the young lady, you know, and I teach their own, but it was a Black woman and she was having her first. And I remember how it was when I had my first, and very protective, and my mom was gone and not in this realm right now. So I could empathize with her, but she was like, I've kept everyone away from my baby except for my husband, and that includes my mom, for 2 weeks. She said, finally, I let my mother come 2 weeks later. And she said, of course, she was pissed, but whatever. And I was like, okay, don't judge Adria. You know, but I'll say what that looks like to me. And I think everyone has a right to establish whatever norms they would like to. But as women of African descent, even in our most challenging times, especially like in this country and other places, our strength has been our womanhood, our sisterhood, ability to rally around. And so I'm sure she's cared for the way she wants. She feels grounded and everything. And I just didn't even stay and look at the post long because I said, But I'll say this, I love that you're talking about the healing of mothers and how that passes down. And that's a big concern for me when it comes to Black birth workers and Black doulas. We must be mindful of what our long game is. We were able to survive in this country for almost 400 years. Not because they took care of us in the hospital, and I'm involved in legislative stuff, not because they were legislating us properly, not because they came to our rescue. It's because we came to our own rescue.
Because some woman saw you and saw your mama's mama screaming, oozing fluids, and she came and she sat there and she tended to her and she waited and she held space. And when that baby came out, she cleaned her up. Nobody else did that. It was the women in our own families and our own communities. And we have to like get real about that. We have to get real and we have to honor that. I get very frustrated at folks who are like, I don't have to have a Black doula. I can get a doula anywhere. So I'm like, okay, of all the places and people that you could have supporting you, not only, and you were mentioning earlier about how we monetize this work, you know, like, are we going to just continue to hire people? At some point, this shouldn't be happening. Chicago Birthworks Collective will always do the work that it's doing.
Yes.
We should not be hiring doulas out for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We shouldn't be.
All I think about is the long game. You tell me. So, like I said, doula has been a profession for almost 30 years. By this time, I'm thinking we're on next generation. We've expanded. We've done blah, blah, blah.
Right now, it's a need. Right now,
it's a need.
Yes, but we understand the way that we are communing in this time. We are not in a place where we have done the healing and we can turn immediately back to our mothers. So we have to turn back to something.
Well, I'll say what I've seen. And what I've seen is, how do I say this? Okay.
You just say it. You just say it.
What I have seen is in our effort, like, okay, so the efforts to come into birth work were first noticing that, okay, we had integrated into the system and we said, oh, there's a such thing as a doula. And, oh, wait, there are no Black doulas. So we need Black doulas. Oh, there are no whatever color doulas. We need this purple, green, red, whatever. Okay, we need doulas. For people who have a closer proximity to their indigenous cultures, because I often tell people, so we act like because we've been over here in these United States of America that we didn't have to rely on the indigenous practices up until 50, 60 years ago. My grandma and them, all of them had to know the herbs, they had to know the this, they had to know the that.
And today in 2019, y'all still drinking the green juice from the pot. After the greens is days old, y'all still like, let me get some of the juice.
I just did some last night, just drunk it. Just saying.
Y'all think we just made that up? We just made all of that up, huh? Because you just like the juice from the green. No, come on.
And that's I just had to say that. Of course, I want to go into the birth stories and stuff, but I didn't know. I love how this conversation has unfolded because it is important. It's important that as Black doulas move forward, what I've seen is that there's almost the anticipation that we will always be bound.
Yes.
Say it like
needing this type of like transactional service, and we'll always be behind, and we'll always need somebody to hold space, but we should be healing so that we can move beyond that. Right now, we're doing a lot of space holding. Well, the space has been taken up. I understand that our ancestors, they dug lots of holes for us to take up space. Now we taking up that space. We got to dig more holes so that our predecessors can be like, okay, cool. They did all this work for us. Now let's continue to do greater work because we didn't have to heal and go backwards and knit things up. So we can't be like expecting that we're going to need the same stuff in 20 years.
And
I hope that in 20 years we don't need the same stuff.
And that's the thing. It's like without intent, without looking at it as we're going back, we're going to do this Sankofa work. We're going to go back. We're going to get it. We're going to become. Without the intention of it, what I've seen is people that also look forward to 25, 30 years from now, I'm going to be the premier doula, and that's okay. That's not a bad, that to each their own. But I just, I love that. I just had to reiterate that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, because we need to set our intention on reclaiming. Now, I'll say this one last thing. I do understand why people feel the way they do.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at housing situations, any other Black issue, Black problem, police brutality, whatever, they've been doing the same thing. It's been going on for years and years and years. We can look back and it's like it's years and years and years. The thing I love about birth work, though, is I look at this and I say, see, this is different. This is a different realm, because first of all, you're dealing with Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Number one.
Yeah.
And we are resourceful folks. We do some stuff. We always have. We're the ones that were holding community together back then. And if we dare to listen and to remember the work of our ancestors, this is not like a housing crisis. This is not like this is a crisis of us stepping into who we are.
First. Before you want to talk about, really, so I saw the face that you made when you said these Black issues. Those not Black issues. Those are white issues.
Exactly.
Black people. Our own Black issues is our own Black issues, and we know what those are. But we have to name things correctly.
Exactly.
Those are white issues. White folks making it so that Black people finding adequate housing is not Black people's issue. That's what y'all did. Y'all created that, and I say y'all very confidently. Y'all did that. That is not something. So when we try to put all of our energy and time towards unraveling white issues,
exactly,
you're not going to really deal with the Black issues, which is exactly what we're talking about. You need to heal yourself. You need to learn your people, your culture, learn what fits you, because you're going to be chasing something that is not designed for your DNA. It's not designed for your cultural experience. It's not designed for who you truly are. And when you start trying to be your real self and have your truths blow up, you're going to break out of this little weird cocoon that you put on yourself. Like, oh, shoot, this never even fit me. Oh, this is weird. You're going to need something to go back to. So I try to make sure that we are focusing on ourselves, not these white issues in the world, and emphasizing these horrible things that have been created to the demise of Black people.
Exactly.
Like, our work is not from a place, and my work as an individual and as a mama and as a sister and as a woman ain't from a place of, yeah, Black women are continuously dying. This is true, but I'm not about to start all that I'm doing from that place.
I wrote last August, and I got some backlash, but I was like, okay, listen, this Black women are dying thing, Black women are dying. I understand what it is that's happening, and then all of the people be like, yeah, Black women are dying. All the blogs and newspapers and news outlets, now everybody's affirming it. So much so that if a Black woman put in Black birth and pregnant, Black woman in birth,
death, die.
I'm down, die. That to me is like casting a spell. It's like conjuring something.
Exactly it. And the words that they're using is that childbirth is killing Black women. When
those are the exact words.
Life, birth is killing women. And birth is also killing Black babies.
And it's true, because those are the words that they're using. They are saying that. And I looked at that and I said, oh, it's something else going on here. And so now, and I'm sure that there are women, Black women, that are like, I want to do it because I'm so afraid I'm going to die. And I
tell them all the time, like, I don't look at me. I'm a human being. I don't have no magic, no voodoo. If that is your destiny, I can only plead with the ancestors to do what they call.
You said plead with that.
Okay? Don't come to me for that. I am not your all spirit soul protector.
And women of African descent, when we were birthing at home and things like that, there was always an understanding that birth was a portal between life and death.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are. That's a segue. Had you ever thought about home birth before?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to know, like, this whole construct of Black women dying.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, I'm gonna remind me to come back to your mama, because she's amazing. But just the whole you said you were in the hospital at first, you were induced for your first, and all those things. How did you get to birth at home? Was it something that you thought of when you were back there at Howard being Miss Howard? Or was it something that kind of evolved over your experiences in birth?
So, like I said, I got pregnant my senior year, the end of the first semester of my senior year, and I was like, man, looks like I gotta drop out of college now. Looks like I won't be able to be anything in life. Mom was like, you sound dumb. You're going back to school. I was like, Mom, so I started off thinking that I needed to initiate this experience in deficit. And my mom slapped me out of that quickly. Like, oh, you have accomplished so much in these last 4 years of college. You're about to become a mother. She was the one that reminded me, you're not a teen mom.
Yes.
You're not. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm a grown woman. What? Oh, snap, this is weird. So it took me a few months to step into my own, and for my mother to like almost slap me over the head a few times. Like, if you don't get it together, you are not, like moving from lack here. You have everything that you need. You have become exactly what you wanted to be. She always told me at that first pregnancy, she kept saying, I knew that you were going to have a baby sooner than anyone else because you wanted to be a mother. Your whole life, you talked about when I have kids, and when I have kids, this is stuff that I don't even remember saying. But she's like, I knew this is what you were going to become because this is what you were supposed to be. So you are walking completely in your own destiny. So I was like, all right, okay, all right. So by the time that I came to know myself, after my mother helped me through that process, trying to organize a home birth, I still was trying to figure out, who I was and grab onto the lights in front of me that were kind of guiding me down this path. It was a little bit too challenging for me. I felt like the work was too much. I could have had a home birth that first time, but I was like, I don't know how. I was still so much in my head, right? And my mother is not the kind of mother who takes away learning experiences from you. She will watch you for 2 years do the wrong thing and wait for you to figure it out. So she allowed me to make my own choices, which I love and appreciate. So the first time I chose to birth with a midwife in a hospital, and I thought, like, yeah, I'm gonna get a midwife, so it's gonna be even better. It's basically like having a home birth in a hospital. No, not the same. My midwife was wonderful. She's an incredible Black woman. She didn't do anything different than what her overseeing obstetrician would have done, who also was a Black woman, who was incredible. They both were great. So I thought, like, she a midwife and she gonna come sprinkle the voodoo on it. There was none of that. Like, I labored with my family, my mama, my grandma, my husband, my dad in the hospital, and they made my experience. So that's when I started thinking, we could have done this at home. We really could have, for real. But I didn't, because I was induced that first time. Second time, we had a little bit more bumps in the road. I was induced again by choice. I requested an induction because I was feeling like, oh, I'm tired. I had what I'm now knowing after my third pregnancy, it's just my body's way of like getting in the game. And she starts working early. She starts working so early that it looks like preterm labor. So people know this to be prodromal labor, but prodromal labor, the way that we conceptualize it, leaves a lot of stuff out. And it's very Western, like, it just happens.
Yeah.
Prodromal labor is these things, and it has no cause, and it comes from nowhere. So that's not the truth. I don't believe that at all. My body was working, and it is always working, and it is, my uterine integrity is not what it could be because I did not take care of my womb. And so I realized that my, just like any other muscle, your uterus has to work out. And if it knows that it's going to have this speed ahead of it, it's going to be working out a lot. And working out feels like contractions. So I had tons of those because my uterus was like, yeah, girl, you wasn't taken care of, so I guess I got to take care of myself. Let me hit the gym. So I'm like, ooh, 29 weeks. My contractions were 10 minutes apart on the regular. They never stopped. For 10 weeks, I had contractions every day. For at the least, they would be, at the most, they would be 10 minutes apart. So I was exhausted. I was like, I'm not understanding. Why is this baby about to come right now? Or, so we chose, again, go back to the hospital. I had the same midwife. She was wonderful. The team of obstetricians that she worked under were all Black folks who I loved, who were great. And they were very hands-off. I actually had a very old school OB who, she wrote on the board for me to receive an enema at 4 centimeters, which is very old school. Like
Very.
I love her so much. She's a Howard alum too. But she wrote that on the board. I didn't know anything about it. I had never got an enema because I don't come from a place where I'm sticking stuff up my butt and trying to rinse stuff out. So I was like, I don't even. I remember, I was like, what is that? Okay, whatever. I'll deal with that when it comes. But it gave me like a focal point. So once my induction started, the first few hours, I just didn't want any vaginal exams. And I opted for one because I was like, 4, whatever that enema thing is, I'm getting it at 4. So let me just try to get as close to that as possible. So when I finally made it to 4 centimeters, she was like, okay, time for your enema. I was like, yeah, let's do that thing.
Tayo!
Let's do this. So I turned over, I gave her my butt, and she was like, well, here's the tube. Here's the bag. I'm just going to insert that thing. I was like, okay, all right. So she puts it in there. It was so painful. It was like she was inserting a penne pasta noodle into my butt. It felt like it was so painful. So I'm like, okay, is that the end? She was like, no. So now you're going to walk to the bathroom. I was like, hold on. How you didn't tell me that I had to do this in the bathroom? I didn't know what was going. I didn't know the water was going to come. I didn't know where the water was going. I was completely like, this is new, fully new to me, right?
Aww.
By the way, was sitting back in the corner just observing the whole thing. So me and my husband, we just like, right? It's all in there. I'm having all these contractions. And she's like, just make your way to the bathroom. And I'm just praying like, Lord, don't let my booty hole bust open. And just everything is going to spill out. So I made it to the toilet. 20 minutes later, I had my baby. 20 minutes later, I was pushing my child out. Like I pooped him out on the toilet. And it moved.
Are you serious?
20 minutes later. So that woman, she knew because I had been under her care for roughly 10 weeks since I was in the hospital. And she must have known. She paid attention to my body. She paid attention to me. And I was trying my best to pay attention to my own body. So I got that enema at 4 centimeters, and I went from 4 to pushing my baby out in 20 minutes. So after that, I was like, man, nobody was there. My doctor didn't make it, of course. The nurses rushed into the room because I was like, ugh. She was like, are you pushing? I'm like, yeah. She was like, no, but you're only 4 centimeters. You should stop because you're really going to hurt yourself. I was like, nah, sis, look, I'm about to be the first woman that had a baby with a cervix that was 4 centimeters dilated because I'm going to keep pushing. It was unstoppable. It was like vagina vomit in the worst way. So once I felt like all of these bodily systems that had nothing to do with anybody, that it was just doing its own thing, I was like, what? My doctor didn't even make it this time. I did this by myself on the toilet. I'm never coming back to this hospital. I don't need y'all. And these were things that I knew, and I felt like I want a home birth, and I knew all the other reasons, but that was a moment that I was like, yo, I can do this. My body can do this. If I play no role, my body could do this. So the next time that I got pregnant, we had just bought our house right after my son was born. He was that middle child. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a baby in this house. As soon as we moved in, I was like, I'm having the rest of my children in this house. There's no reason that I paid all this money to buy this house. We pay all this money on this mortgage every month that I need to go somewhere else to pay some more money. I'm having this baby in this house. So when I got pregnant again, I was like, boom, that was it. And I was very clear, not because something happened or because someone told it to me, but I knew that I wanted to manage my own prenatal care. So for the first trimester, I cared for myself. I cared for myself, and I allowed the women in my community to care for me. And that looked like me checking in with them whenever I had any type of concern. And I feel so sometimes like conflicted about sharing these experiences because I don't want to be accountable for someone doing something that I did, right? I'm like, maybe you shouldn't say that. But what I've come to learn is just as I am and was responsible for choosing the best decision for me, any person, any birthing person is responsible for choosing what's best for them. It's not what I said. Oh, well, Tayo said that, so I thought, well, you thought you could do that, but you didn't do the research. You didn't learn about your own body. And so whatever outcome you receive, you are the most responsible. And I realize it for myself. I am the most responsible for how my birth turns out. When I put myself in the utmost of the driver's seat, now, are there definitely systems and factors that can impact that? Yes. But am I going to be in the back seat or in the driver's seat? Because even in the driver's seat, I can't control the road. I can't control the weather conditions. I can't control if my car is going to work or not. But right. I made that effort and I put the intention into being in the front. And so I was like, dang, Tayo, whatever type of birth you have, it's you. You chose that.
You know,
learn enough, or you made the wrong decision. You didn't talk to the right people, but you can create what you feel like you want or you need. So that's what I started doing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that is so, so important. That's another part of being a part of, or so fully assimilated into majority culture. One of the, you know, people talk about Black people and their spirituality and whatever else, blah, blah, blah. One of the things that happens when you don't have a government or this or liabilities, the lawyers and whatever, is that you make different kinds of decisions. Mm-hmm. I talk to people all the time. They want to call me and say, I want to have a birth at home. I want a birth at home. Can you give me the name of the midwife? I want a birth at home. And at the same time, you know, most of the time I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot of conversation we need to have before I would ever think of telling, you know, you about anybody that I knew. Mm-hmm. Because here's the deal. The deal is that people say that they want like an at-home birth. They say they want an at-home birth. They want to be out of this medical space, but they want to still use the liabilities and the all of the everything else that goes into it. Right. So you want to be at home in the comfort of your own thing, but you also want to blame somebody for.
You don't want to play the leading role. When you do stuff at your house. It happened at your house. So what happened? That happened at your house. Who is responsible? And this is the way that we approach doula work too. I paid you all this money. So you better, guess what? That money has been deposited and cleared by your bank and it's in my bank account. So this conversation is done. Yes. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to rub your back, and I'm going to bring you this hot tea. But you are responsible for doing this work for yourself. There are not answers that I will feed you. That's not the work that I'm willing to do. That's not how I'm willing to show up for Black women. And that's, we have a lot of Black women who expect that of Black doulas.
And that came from what we walked into. Back again to that whole thing. Yes, we walked into this space and said, wait, y'all got we want Black ones.
Because doula means what? Doula means slave.
Said
So
we try to pretty it up. We pretty it up.
No, that's not me. So
Serve
because
it.
I know I was the most responsible, I hold other women responsible. And I hope that other Black birth workers do this. But you have to hold yourself and your clients accountable and screen people, because everybody is not going to be the right person for you. Every Black person, we are not meant to say. So Araminta done taught me enough for me to know I am not here to deplete myself for those who wish to not be saved. That's not my role. I got many, many, many people who are waiting for me at the next train stop. Many. And I'm not about to hold up this train waiting for you. God bless you. Be well.
Yeah.
So
there's a personal responsibility that is at the core of all of this.
Yes. But Black women who are hiring doulas, is that what they want to hear? Do they really want to hear, okay, now let's get this education. Let's do this emotional healing. Let's learn about our bodies. Let's learn about our wombs. Let's learn about anatomy, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and then I'll be your doula. No, because that is not what's advertised. That's not the package that they're dreaming for. So that's a whole different conversation. But that's how I approached this last pregnancy of mine. I'm the most responsible.
And so you talked before about how you took care. You said for your second, you said, okay, I wasn't taking care of my womb. What does that mean for your third pregnancy and as you prepare for home birth?
It was a nightmare. It was an actual nightmare. So after I had my daughter, my first child, I was 21 years young. I was very elastic, and I was like, this is wonderful. I'll do this 5 more times. I feel great. I was like, this was nothing on the bod. I'm good. But it was because my great grandma was like bloodhound patrol outside of my bedroom. If I came out of the bedroom without my robe on, she like, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to the bathroom. Don't walk around the house without a robe on. You don't go up and down the stairs. You don't need to come out of that room. Somebody's going to bring you some food. You need to lay down. Stop trying to take that baby outside. Is your stomach right? I'm like, when are you going home?
Come through. Let grandma come through.
She did. She stayed at my house for, I think she was there for the first 4 weeks. And I don't know if my grandma was making any of that food, but she sure was ordering people around to do this, to do that. So my husband didn't rest, because she was like, and go ahead and make her some of this. Go and bring her some, and she would come and check on me and the baby. So I was fooled into thinking that it was my own might, that my body had just healed itself, because I was fighting my grandma, my mama, my auntie. So my aunt is my grandmother's sister. And so I was with the 3 of them. We were all in one house after I had my daughter. So I couldn't escape it. And so somehow I started thinking like, oh, they're getting on my nerves. I live in the future. You guys are from the past. Leave me alone. No, it was them that kept my body together. So when I got pregnant again, I was like, oh man, they don't know. Oh, I'm not calling them. They better leave me. So I was like, I told myself this crazy lie. My body is going to heal faster if I keep moving. I was like, yeah, right after I had my baby, the only reason you feel like groggy is because you stay in the house all those weeks. I was foolish, just out of my mind. So
how'd it work out for you? How'd it work out for you?
Oh, let me tell you. After I gave birth to my son, I threw my daughter and my son's birthdays are 8 days apart. I threw my daughter a birthday party. I was 1 week postpartum.
Oh, girl.
We threw her, a backyard party with a bouncy house. We cooked food. We don't eat meat, so we would have been on the grill, but I set up everything. We had the tent, we had balloons and games and hula hoops. I was running all over the yard. 1 week postpartum. I'm pretty sure that I was still bleeding.
I'm pretty sure you were too.
It was bad, but I felt like I needed this, and this is good. I feel good. I'm smiling all those pictures too. If you see those pictures, I'm like, my hair looked just like this. It looked a mess because I was still going through. I hadn't even like faced that transition, and so what happened was that everything failed, literally, and I had what I feel like was the worst type of prolapse anybody could have. at 25 years young, I'm dealing with my uterus and my vagina falling out of my vagina.
Wow.
Just to be very, very open, I had no pelvic floor strength. So when I got pregnant this time, everything, I mean, I was maybe like 10 or 12 weeks pregnant. I felt so much pressure. I'm like, something's about to fall out of my vagina. Because
Wow.
my uterus had no place to sit. And as it's trying to get bigger, it's like, dang, you ain't got no support. Let me just wiggle on down even. Goodbye. So it was really hard. It was really hard having all of that pressure. And then my dad passed away. So it was like, hold on, universe. Pump the brakes. This was too much. I was like, this is not fair. I take everything else. I take all other challenges. Like I am whole. I am ready to receive. This was way too much. And all my emotions and all kinds of things happening in my life, I just wasn't present. So I had like a very tough first trimester because I felt I had more morning sickness than I had ever had. So like my last 2 pregnancies weren't like that. And I was trying to manage my own prenatal care, right? So it's not like I was going anyone like, fix this, help me. I was just figuring this stuff out on my own. And so when my dad transitioned, I really checked out because I didn't know how to even be present in both these spaces. My dad and I are like this, like so close. So I had a fall down the stairs. I fell down the stairs. I fell down the stairs while I was holding my son.
Oh my
And
God.
I shifted my pelvis. And so not only was stuff falling in, it just messed everything up. I didn't crack my tailbone, but I was pretty close to it. So I was all kinds of jacked up. So trying to heal from that fall, I was in therapy I went to go see the pelvic floor physical therapist who first had to work on my pelvis before she could get to the muscles. Then I started going to the chiropractor. So they helped me. I couldn't walk. They helped me to be able to walk again. I couldn't sit either.
All of this like within the past year?
This pregnancy.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So yes. So there I was like, man, I just can't. I can't do any of this. Like my butt hurts, my stomach hurts, my vagina hurts, my soul hurts, my head hurts. And I still had to figure out how to manage my own care. And I started feeling like this is not fair. It's just not fair. Like I'm trying to do a good, radical, revolutionary thing. And then my dad gonna die. And then I gotta deal with all this stuff by myself. But I had it and I needed to work for it. And I didn't recognize it. So I kept trying to like take the easy way out. I was like, I think I'm just gonna have this baby in the hospital because how am I gonna deal with all of these emotions and how am I gonna address my grief and still manage to be the frontline authoritarian on my own care? I shouldn't have to do all that stuff. And prenatal care should be about someone else caring for me. I was going through all these things. So I kind of tried to find a balance where I was getting prenatal care. Well, I didn't get like traditional Western prenatal care. I went to all of the healers that I knew in my community. I'm like, look, this hurts. Can you help me with this? Or my butt feels like this. Can you help me with this? Or I'm having these types of contractions. Can you help me with this? So I had the same pattern somewhat of my son's pregnancy where my uterus was like, again, didn't take care of us. So let me get in here, get this workout on. So my contractions were a lot more consistent. They were much more intense very early on. I didn't even start counting when, but I knew my body by then. So I'm like, this is not a matter of going to the hospital, you're in preterm labor at all. So when it came closer, when I got closer and closer to maybe coming into my 3rd trimester, I knew I was having my baby at home and had already declared to everybody in my family. And we were discussing, like, they're like, well, do you want to hire a midwife? I knew I did not want any white people at my birth. So my philosophy, or what my soul cry is that my children, the birth of my Black children, should not benefit any white person, period. It shouldn't add more money to your pockets. It shouldn't add more experience to your lives. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me, my people, and the people that are in my lineage. So I recognize there's so much money that is attached to the birth of a Black child. and the life of a Black child. And that money does not come back to Black children or Black families. That money goes to everybody else but us. So I said, if we're going to hire a midwife, she will be Black. I didn't come into contact with one, but I recognize that I'm going to open this up. And if one comes to me, she will. If she don't, she don't. This baby is still coming out at this house. So we moved forward, and I say we because my husband he like, you ain't about to do all this stuff without me and leave me behind looking stupid. So he got up on his computer. He started doing his own research. He started reading his own books and talking to the people that he needed to. And he gathered our birth village. So these were women that I was already in community with. And he kind of structurally pulled them together as a man would. He's like, we need order. So
I love that about him. I love that about him.
He scheduled dates out from my second trimester all the way through my due date. And he's like, okay, we have these monthly meetings. We will get together. We're going to check in. We're going to, go down this list of Tayo and the baby's prenatal care, their happenings. He would cook dinner. Everybody would come over. We would plan. Okay, this is what's going to happen. And we learned together, all of us. This was everyone's first time having a family birth like this. So he said, what do y'all need? What tools do we need to gather? Do we need this Doppler? Okay, here's the places. I'm sending this to you. You check this out and you email me back and you give me a price check. And he had it all together. He would type up an agenda every time. So I felt like, dang, Tayo, everything that you need is already here. And you still over here dealing with your own emotions, trying to figure out if you really want to. And meanwhile, my family and my whole village, they was like, no, we doing this. We doing this.
Wait, remind me of your husband's name.
Aremu.
You tell him he killed that.
Yeah, he did. He really brought it to life. He didn't kill it. He brought it to life. He nurtured it.
Yes, better words, yes.
He tended to it more than I did. So we just started we didn't garden ever. We just started our first garden. And we have had so many reflections. But he used to be like, don't be telling people I'm out here gardening. I'm like, no, brother, I will tell everyone because people need to know that a Black man's hands have that much magic. If you just so I had this whole big analogy for him. I'm like, look at our garden. We got all this stuff just from putting water onto these plants. You didn't have to do nothing. And these women plants have produced food that we can eat. And all you had to do was water them. So I said, it's the same with me. That's what he did. He just watered me. The seeds were in there. I had to do all the work to molecularize and design and create and cry and do all these things, right? That's what those plants were doing. But we didn't see any of that stuff, just like with women. If we're watered from the outside, the people who want to enjoy these children, our fruit, will just water us. Just give us a little bit of nurture, shade us when it gets too hot, cover us up if it gets too cold. Just nurture us. We will produce this fruit for you. And so that's what he did. He just watered me wherever he could. And so we had these birth village meetings on the regular. And I really like to share that with people because I want them to know, we put in work to learn, to address the things that we know we had gaps in. So we assigned roles to everyone. So what are you good at? Where do you see yourself in this family birth? Somebody said, I know that I can keep things very clean. I'm going to bring my Clorox wipes. I'm going to clean this down, cleaning all the surfaces. Somebody else said, I am direct person-to-person support. Somebody else was like, I got the kids. Somebody else said, I got the food. And we had every need that was met. So my husband kept track of that. We met monthly. And then, of course, we would meet in between because these are all people that we're in community with. So when it came time for this birth, the last few weeks, we had to, I was the one who knew my due date. Due date's crazy. They really just made up. But I knew that June 19th was my special day. So that was my guiding point. My husband was like, we should lean on something that's later so that you don't feel like, oh, we're getting close, So he was, I think the date that he has set as his special day was maybe June 24th or 25th or something. But I knew it. So as we were getting up to June 19th, I'm like, y'all, we getting close. And I know it. We getting up there. And so I had a few, is this because again, I got induced twice. So I had never had a spontaneous labor. So I felt like this was all new for the first time. I never experienced like my water breaking before. I never experienced early labor. None of that stuff. I've always showed up to a hospital, got my labor started, and had a baby. So not only was this home birth experience new, but this experience of like, how am I going to know? How am I going to know? I was that annoying person to myself and to everyone. So we had an episode where I was contracting for about 7 hours, 5 minutes apart. They never got closer. They only got further apart. So like the last 2 hours or so, they got further apart. So I was like, this was weird. We had called everybody over. We cut up the watermelon. We had the herbs brewing. It was not it. And I felt that it wasn't it. I was like, this is weird. This don't feel right. So we sent everyone home. And so after that, I was going through all kinds of turmoil. Like, how am I going to know my own body? And I don't understand anything. This baby's just never going to come out. I was just all over the place. And I'm still struggling because my pelvic floor had no more strength. You need me? Okay. It had no more strength. So I was like, I'm in pain every day. I'm hurting, and I just need to be able to hold this baby in until it's ready to come out. So when my labor had started to kind of like try to arise, you know, it was kind of like, are you ready? Because I was still having these contractions on the regular. Nothing was like, those never stopped. My husband was the one who said, if you are ready to have this baby, you need to like call this labor in. If it's like, you know, peeking up, he's like, ain't no shame in saying like, come on, I'm ready. So I was like, no, I can't deal with it. I was a mess. So he's like, no, this is what you're going to do. He woke me up because I told him like, I'm having some really, really, really strong contractions, but they were 30 minutes apart. So I was like, this don't mean nothing. 30 minutes apart, that's not labor. This is just a joke. So he's like, now get up. I cleaned your breast pump. Use this breast pump thing, because he's reading. Use this breast pump thing, and you're going to use it to stimulate your contractions. And I'm in my head, I'm like, no, that's not going to work because nipple stimulation is only to start contractions. It's not to bring them closer together. And he's like, well, you could try. So he cleaned the whole house. He did all his rituals. He ran me a bath. He like, here, you get in that tub, you take this breast pump and pump your breasts. So I was like, okay. I did it. Everything took off. Like contractions started moving closer and closer together. I had a very unique labor pattern, which was beautiful because that's what my body was supposed to do. So my contractions were about 15 minutes apart for the duration of my labor. But it gave me like 15 minutes to rest in between. I think maybe they got up to 10 minutes. For a moment, they were 5 minutes apart, but I didn't have contractions like back to back on top of each other.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe it was because my body had been doing all this work before. And so I was getting a little worried because I'm like, I've never seen a labor pattern like this before. And we doing this at home. The whole time I wasn't even thinking I was in labor. I really was like, let me just get through these contractions. I don't really know what I'm about to do after this, but let me just take it step by step. And so my mom and my husband, they coordinated with everyone else and people started coming over. It had been like the whole day. And that night, so I started having those contractions early in the morning. And it was maybe 9 or 10 o'clock when people started arriving. I was doing my thing in my bedroom. They had gotten everything all beautiful and clean and wonderful. My kids running around. My daughter was so excited. She was so excited because she's like, the baby's coming out of your vagina today? Will I be there when the baby comes out of your vagina? Can I see when the baby comes out of your vagina? I'm like, girl, whatever you want. So that was one of my requests, was that people made sure that she was there. I said, I don't care what happens if she sleep, wake her up because she wanted to see this. She deserves to be able to see this. And I wanted my daughter to see her mother giving birth to her sibling at home. So we are like moving along. Things are normal. Everybody's calm and cool. I'm still like, what are we doing again? Who am I? What's supposed to happen? So we're moving through things, and around midnight, I think it was around midnight, the last person had arrived, And I knew that she wasn't there. Even though everyone was downstairs, I was upstairs because she hadn't come and said hello to me. So she got there. And the only reason I knew that she was there was because I had this one contraction that was so intense. Like, it was accompanied by lots of emotions. And the only way I can describe it was that the contraction brought me to like a veil. It brought me to this veil where I recognized once you go through this curtain, you got to be a new person for forever.
Wow.
So the veil kind of just like drifted across my face. And I was like, I'm about to have a baby. And not only am I about to have a baby, but I'm about to birth a new woman, a new self that my father will never know. I'm about to become a new person. So I broke down. As soon as I felt that, I retreated, retracted, I closed up and sucked everything in, and I broke down. And I'm weeping and sobbing. And I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I'm so, I was a mess. And so she like floated into the room, and she was like, are you okay? Are you in pain? And so once I found that she was there, I'm like, oh my God, you haven't been here and you're here all of a sudden, right? I was like, okay, I'm safe. I recollected myself. And I had to do a lot of emotional labor to release the fact that in this physical realm, who my father knew before he transitioned is here. But as I become this new woman, my father, his spirit will always know that, So it took me 3 hours to do that work. So I think I was about complete then. And I just played around for 3 hours trying to get my emotions together. But then it made my contraction space out of it. And it gave me a little bit of time to just get my feelings together, to do that emotional work. So I look back and I'm like, dang, this is what your body and your spirit will do to work together to allow you to do whatever work you need to do to get your baby out. I recognize if I had been in any other environment, me having the labor pattern that I did and having the emotional outpouring that I did could have caused a lot of issues,
Yeah.
It could cause people to want to manage and get in. No one wanted to change anything that I was doing. No one said, I think you should. Nothing. Everything went along as it should. So I remember I had given myself like 12 enemas because I was like, the enema made it work last time. So if I could do this enema, I'll have this baby. It wasn't happening. But I had eaten a lot during my labor because I was so hungry. My husband made some tacos. He made some lentil tacos. So I have to frame this photo, but there's a picture of me in the bathtub with a plate floating in the water of lentil tacos. And I love kale. And a bowl of kale salad next to me and my breast pump. I was in there chilling. So I devoured those tacos. I devoured that salad. And so a few hours later, of course, I needed to go to the bathroom. So everyone had kind of fallen asleep at this point. And I told my husband, I think I just need one more enema just to clear things out, just in case this baby's about to come out. So I had that enema, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get in the bathtub, and you can get in here with me. He was shocked because I told him, I never, ever want you to get in the bathtub with me if I'm in labor. Never. I think it's weird, but I asked him to get in the tub with me. And so he did, and we fell asleep. We fell asleep in the tub, and I had 2 contractions. We were in there for 30 minutes. I had one maybe like just after we had gotten in, and one another 15 minutes later. Or maybe we got in, I had a contraction, and 15 minutes later I had another one. But anyway, the second one woke me up. I was like, ooh, this feels a little different. So I sat up, and everything that happened after here happened within 5 minutes. So you gotta put your focus goggles on because it was a lot.
Okay.
I sat up. My husband also sat up. He was daydreaming. And so he said that he saw the baby's hands and legs coming out at once. I had just woken up. So I was like, huh? And he was like, huh? So he's having this like daydream experience. I'm having my real life experience. And so he's like, what? So I'm hearing him experience this. So I'm like, what is it? I can't see my vagina because he's behind me and I'm like on all fours in the bathtub. So he's like, what? He's flustered. So I started getting flustered, like, are you seeing something hanging out of my vagina that I cannot see? So I'm screaming like, what is it? What is it? He wears glasses. So he didn't have any glasses on, so he couldn't see. So he jumps out of the tub to get his glasses, he puts his pants on, gets back in the tub with his pants on. So water's splashing everywhere. I'm screaming like, what do you see? What is it? You ready? No. You can just let them say. Let them say. I'll come up. Okay. Mm-hmm. He don't be knowing that, like, I have the mom brain. He's like, bring them. Leave them where they are. If the house is destroyed, it will be destroyed. Let them be free. So I make it to, I'm in the tub and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And I'm really like flustered because I felt like I had so much control. I felt like, I played this front role and now things are happening out of my control. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's hanging out of my vagina. Obviously, there's some octopus hanging out of my vagina. There was nothing. Nothing was hanging out. My husband was just having a moment. So my family and our whole birthday was, they hear us screaming in the bathroom. So they all come into the room. But one of my doula sisters said she was sleeping downstairs on the couch. At the same time that I woke up and had this contraction, she woke up. She said she felt something just like grab her and wake her up. She'd been asleep the longest, by the way. I think she'd been asleep for like 2 hours. So she wakes up, she quietly comes up the stairs. She hears us screaming. So she's like, oh, perfect timing, right? So my mom, my doula sister, Shanika, and my husband were all in the bathroom. And this is still that 5-minute time frame. My mom's like, okay, obviously you're ready to have this baby. Because I'm like, oh, the baby's coming, right? I'm saying all the things that would signify that this baby's coming out. She's like, but you have to get out of the tub. I was like, excuse me? Where I am is where this baby's coming out. She was like, no, I just think it's not enough water in there and we can't really see things well. So then I got triggered. I started thinking like, you trying to control me? You sound like one of those, what? It's not about what you can see. It's about where I am. And this is what I'm saying in my mind. With my mouth, I was like, no, I'm not getting out. She was like, you got to get out. So she started telling my husband, get her out of the tub. So I was like, ooh, if you touch me. So I was struggling. I was struggling, like not trying to release, not trying to give in. I don't know how they got me out of the tub. I got out of the tub and Shanika, Shanika, I was screaming because I thought, you know what? I deserve, in my own house, I deserve to be able to release. And not only am I in my own house, but the pain that I've experienced throughout this entire pregnancy, physical pain, emotional pain, I deserve to release that. I don't have to feel like you're strong, just hold it in. So I was loud. I was very loud and it felt very good. Every time, we kind of like tell each other, birth ain't painful. But for some women, it might be. It might feel like that. Whatever the circumstances around that pregnancy, where her womb is at that time, it could feel like pain. And if that is the way that she interprets it and wants to verbalize it, we shouldn't shame her. So I was in pain. And I was very loud. And Shanika said to me, okay, I just need you to bring it down and pull all the energy towards your baby. And I'm like, I'm a doula. I know what you're saying to me. You're telling me I'm too loud. You're not about to do this to me. So because she was telling me in doula terms that I was too loud, I got even louder. So I was like, I'm just like wailing and screaming, doing the most. And I remember feeling my baby coming out, and I thought that it was too fast. I thought it was too fast, too soon. I wanted it to be like Instagram, where the babies just kind of like pop out, right? Not what was happening. My baby was trying to shoot his way out. So I started kind of like constricting, and I felt very forced. I was feeling like this is happening to me, and I wanted it to happen by me. Like I wanted to be the governor, right? That's not what was happening. So the baby was coming out so quickly, and I'm just pushing and screaming. I did not take my pause after the baby's head came out when I should have, because I was angry at that point. They made me get out of the tub. Shanika done told me to be quiet in my own house. My mom is talking about what she can't see. I'm like, oh my God, this baby's coming so fast. And the baby comes out. And I felt traumatized. I felt
Hmm.
traumatized simply because I had attached this home birth to like my healing, you know, and this was going to be like my repayment for all of the grief that I experienced in this pregnancy. So I was going to have this beautiful birth. I can hear them creeping at any moment. They're going to bust this door open.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like this is not the way I wanted it to go. But what I learned was that everyone has a price to pay for their child. Every child that comes into the world has a price that their mother will have to pay. And the price is already determined. So some women are going to have very easy pregnancies and easy births. Some women are going to have hard pregnancies and hard births. Some women may have a hard pregnancy and an easy birth, you know? But the price for my child, this child that I brought into the world, cost that much. It cost me that physical pain. It cost me that emotional pain, or however anyone else wants to describe it. For me, it was painful. So she came out, and I just felt like somebody else hold her. Y'all hold her, because I need to deal with myself. And I kept telling myself that once my baby was out, that I would be able to, yes, baby? Come in. I told myself that once I was not pregnant, hey, I would be able to just deal with my grief on my own. Hello.
Hey.
Everyone. Hello. Yeah, so she calls anyone that is related to Chicago Birthworks Collective birth mamas. So she just said, I met her at Birth Mamas.
Yeah.
Say hello. So I had gotten to the other side that I thought there was going to be all this healing and relaxation and like, oh, I can finally relax and meet my baby. It didn't feel like that. It felt like I'm hurt. I'm hurt that even after this tough pregnancy, this tough labor, I still had to have this tough birth. And I thought it was going to be easier. And the last one. Thank you, baby.
Yay. Hey, Poppy.
I know.
How you doing, Mama? Good to see you.
Good to see you
This is
too.
gonna make for a beautiful recording, huh?
It is. I'm gonna love. This is so fun.
All right, son, go ahead. So we're still recording, babe. So you're gonna be featured on this, okay? So I had gotten to this other side, and I still needed time for myself. But what was incredible is that I was at home, and the people who were caring for my baby in that time were her father, her grandmother, and the immediate women in my village. And so, whereas at a hospital, there would have been strangers sucking on my baby. There were not strangers. And I needed for someone to be with my baby so that I could be with myself and so that my mother could be with me. So, there she goes. There she goes. There it goes, fat baby. And that's what happened. My husband tended to my baby, and the other women that were there tended to our baby, and my mother was there with me. And I was sad, and I was crying, and I felt overwhelmed, and I had that space where I knew that my baby was safe and well taken care of, and I was being nurtured. And I didn't feel like any point in my life I had ever experienced being hurt as a mother, as a woman, and being able to take 100% of the time to myself. 100%. So I thought of like every mother in that moment that had pain, real pain, that she couldn't tend to because 70% of her needs to go to her children. So she only had 30% of herself to give to herself. So I was so thankful. I would say that it took me maybe 2 hours before I was ready to deal with my baby. So they had latched onto my breast. And they tended to everything else that needed to be done with. But I just wasn't ready to meet her. I wasn't ready, and I had that time. So when I was ready, it felt good.
That's beautiful. I love it because I think I love that you shared. I love that you shared authentically what you went through, and the fact that home birth wasn't like the magic bullet that was going to make everything better, because I think that sometimes in those conversations we forget that there is still still birth.
Yes.
So
and I made up this story to myself that it was going to be something different. Nobody had promised me that. I told myself that that's how it's going to be because I saw it on Instagram. That's what Instagram said. Everybody's home birth on Instagram was beautiful in the water, and they had all the pretty music playing. That was not my story. No.
Okay, I'm going to let you get to your babies, but let me make sure. You talked about Chicago Birthworks Collective. I know you have a new guide that you put out.
Yes.
Tell us
Black
about
Girls
it.
Labor Guide.
Say it again.
The Black Girls Labor Guide. So let me tell you, that was like a crazy idea that we had. I said to all my girls, I was like, don't y'all hate that it's so hard to find graphics that have real Black people in them for your clients? So when my clients are like, okay, I think my contractions are starting and I want to tell them, try this position. I was pregnant. So I would have my daughter take a picture of me. I'm like, okay, do this position like this. And they got the idea, right? So then I told my girls, I'm like, y'all, we need to just make this. This is exactly what it's gonna be. It's gonna be Black women helping other Black women and Black men helping Black women through their labor. And people have to be able to see that we don't just lay on our backs. And we don't just go to hospitals and just have these babies. We do work and we change positions. And the truth is, as intuitive as some of us might think it is, for a lot of women, it's not as intuitive. So sometimes you might need some assistance. Sometimes you might need a bit of a guide to say, all right, try this position. Try turning around like this. Put this one leg up like that. So we came together. We're like, we're going to just photograph it. So that's what we did. We did all of the production ourselves. Thank you. We designed it, we photographed it, we edited it, and produced it completely by ourselves. And it was incredible to see your purse. Thank you. You love it? Oh, all right. It was incredible to see how many people saw it and thought it would be useful. So I'm so happy that it's in the world now. Because it was like
I know it is like a new baby, and I'm excited too. I love what you are using all of your energy to do, even with all of these beautiful.
You said all. I feel like I have all the babies.
You do.
I feel like I got like 7 kids over here. It's because they make stories of 7 people.
I'm mentally going down memory lane, girl. I'm mentally like.
I'm glad that it's just mental for you. This is my real reality. You just get to remember this.
Homeschooling, girl, I remember homeschooling. I was potty training one. I was breastfeeding the other. We just didn't have these little setups here to document it. But I appreciate you so much. So do this for me. Tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Well, my address is. I think the easiest way to get in touch with us is at ChicagoBirthworks.com. That is our collective site. You can email any of us. If you meet anybody from Chicago Birthworks, you can email us our first name at ChicagoBirthworks.com. So my email is Tayo, Tayo, at ChicagoBirthworks.com. We're on Instagram as Chicago Birthworks Co. I don't do nothing on Twitter. And then on Facebook, you can just search us in the search bar, Chicago Birthworks Collective.
Look at that little face. Wait, how old is this baby? How old is she?
Kamalu, do you need to get out? Okay. Abiona Oyesanya was born on June 18th. So
Let me dirty, Mommy. Let me dirty.
She's like 11 weeks, I think.
Oh, wow. Breastfed baby. She is so chunky. When I saw her at the picnic, I was like, oh my gosh.
Let me tell you that this is the first time I've ever made a child like this. This is not like my regular. I thought it was like, yeah, breastfed babies. They were not like that. They were very slender, very long.
Those were mine. I never had, I had one that did this thing, but this one looks like she eats like all the things.
Look at this. This is a big old baby. She's been looking like this too since she was like 4 weeks old. Just grown. Do you know how many times I throw this baby on my hip? If I
already?
She got all the neck power. I'll be like, She like, But you know, I realized when you give yourself all the space to do all the things that you need, your baby's gonna come out full and whole. That's what I keep telling myself.
I'm gonna go with you on that one.
She had everything that she needed, so she's like, I'm here. I'm developed. I'm in the world, and yes, I can hold my own neck. What else do you have for me?
Well, thank you, Tayo. I appreciate you. I'm so glad we got to see those little people too, and the man.
That brother.
He is awesome. Please let him know that I think he's amazing, and I love the work that he put in.
I will tell him.
For you to be able to do the things that you desire to do and needed to do. Thank you so much for sharing and being so authentic with everybody that's going to listen and watch this. Really, really, really. And
Thank you are accommodating all of this real life. I was telling you at the beginning, I was like, should I change my clothes?
I know.
This is my real life.
I told you, I said you could just act like what you are, a postpartum mom.
Doing this real thing. I constantly having to remind myself that too, because running a business and doing all this work, holding all this space for women, it takes a lot of work, you know, and you want to be great and you want things to be in excellence. But I also have to like check in with myself. I had a chat with Loretta Ross. You know Loretta Ross?
Yes.
So we had her as a guest speaker for our Black Birth book club 1 month because we read Reproductive Justice. And what she said to me, we were talking before the interview. The kids were loud, you know, I'm chatting. I'm like, this is a big deal. This is an important person. Be quiet. They didn't. They did not. And she said to me, your children's job is to get your attention. And she said, it's you millennial moms that think that they're going to stop doing that for some reason. Like, and she said, stop trying to do things where your children don't need your attention or where you can't tend to them. That's the reality. So you need your pen. I took that advice and it has really changed the way that I parent and show up to this work, where the same way that my mother does this exponential amount of work to make sure that I'm healed and whole, I have to do the same thing to my children. And in the midst of me trying to heal other women, here you go, son, I can't allow my children to be broken or half raised. And so what I've done and learned to do is when my children need me, I have to stop. I have to stop because I want them to feel you are important. This work is important, but you are also important to me. And so if I can meet your need in this moment, I will try to, but I will at least acknowledge you and address you. And not everyone understands that. So sometimes I'll go to presentations with my toddlers. And I'm like, you asked for Tayo and Mbande, here I am with my children. This is what I have. So much of Black motherhood is separating Black mothers from their children. Woo! So I feel like I have to, you know, Janine tells me this too. She's like, I'll show up with my kids and I apologize afterwards. So I feel like I have to show up to these spaces and deal with whatever repercussions are going to come, because people need to know this is me and my children. I do this motherhood stuff every day at all moments.
For real.
You are not going to, you know, expect from me and then separate that I'm a mother. I'm a mother all the time. And I have to deal with it, and so do you. So if you ask for Tayo and Mbande, just know that my kid's probably going to be there too.
I love it. And I
might have a free hour to pose like I don't have loud kids, but that hour is going to expire eventually, and they're going to come rolling in. My husband like, okay, I got to go.
Here go your kid.
Yep.
I love it. And I love how you said that. I think that is a great way to conclude our talk, because, you know, that is true what you talked about. You know, they love, you know, people love to see the whatever. I tell people all the time, you might not see my kids, but they're here and they're there.
Because yours are big, and if they were small, they should and they would. Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing. It's that I've always said this: there should be the people that you choose to live within your house should not get less attention and less love and be shown less than the people outside your house.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
So when it comes down to it, I love it that they did make their appearance.
I know it was bound to happen too. It was just a matter of time. I was like, okay, they coming.
You were like, in 5, 4. All right, sis. I will let you go. Kiss those babies for me.
I will. Yaya, do you want to say goodbye? Yaya, come say goodbye. Come on, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I can't see you.
Come on this side, son. Come over here. Here, he's coming.
There he is.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, precious. Goodbye. There it is.
We love you so much. Thank you for allowing me into your space and giving me a chance to do all this talking.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to write and we want to write and do stuff, but I just love that you would be willing to open your mouth and just share your authentic feelings. That's going to help a lot of women who are making these decisions understand that they are real decisions to be made. So if you want to know more about Tayo, her information will be below. So make sure that you go and find out what Chicago Birthworks Collective is doing. Don't forget about that, the Black Girls Guide to Birth. Is that it?
Black Girls Labor Guide.
Labor Guide. I was close, girl.
Yep.
All right. Mwah.
We love you.
Love ya.